Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Madness here on YouTube and StreamYard.com. It is Google and Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Flair and Michael Bullock. Guys, we're just going to dive right on in. We start out with NXT 2.0. The first fight of the night was Axum versus Nathan Frazier. This was the best of three series. Nathan Frazier wins the match. He ties the series at one fight apiece. That means we will have a third fight. Uh, This was solid. The time of the fall was 13 minutes and 14 seconds. This was easily a 3.5 star fight. This was exactly what it needed it to be. Almost similar to the first fight. Back and forth it went. Solid action, great wrestling, and you could tell that was it as good as the first fight was? Maybe, maybe not, depending on how you feel about it. But it was solid. This is gonna go the maximum. We all knew it was gonna go the full three. So 3.5 stars. Anthony Florio, it's yours.
Well, I'll tell you, MF, 3.5 to 3 3/4 is my rating for this. I would say second best fight of the night, if I'm going to be honest with you. All right. Once again, these two have fantastic chemistry and told a different story this time in the ring as Axiom dominated. It was a great performance that showed why both men should be heavily featured in the new NXT. Frazier had to win to make sure that we got one more match. And at least fresh talent got the spotlight here, such as Axiom and Frazier. And this was a fantastic way to start this show last night. Axiom went for the golden ratio, but Frazier caught him running with a super kick, and then Frazier moonsaulted toward Axiom, but got pulled into a sleeper, and Frazier fought out, then planted his opponent with a superplex and a spinning neck breaker. That closing sequence alone, you got to go out of your way to see that. That was insanity. So, and no surprise, you knew this was going to be the way they were going to go. You knew they were going to go the distance. They always do whenever they have these kind of things. So great way to start it. 3.5 to 3 3/4 stars. Second best fight of the night on my end. There was one match that I thought was better. So I think you guys know where I'm going with that. So with that being said, Mr. NXT, Michael Bullock, Phenom, come on in. And what else is there to say? I mean, what a way to start off the quote unquote new era of NXT with this second match of the best of three series. Nathan Frazier evens it up, and we're going to get the third match down the road.
Yeah, 3.5 stars for me, and definitely was a great way to start off this quote unquote new era of NXT. And yeah, you kind of knew that this match was gonna go the distance, no doubt about it in my mind. So it's gonna be interesting to see what this third ball will bring. So 3.5 stars. So let's move on.
All right. Then the next thing that we did have on the show, well, after that, well, actually, we should have addressed it this. However, I kind of made a mistake here. So it showed footage earlier in the day of Carmelo Hayes and Solo Sikoa in the office of Shawn Michaels. Now, Shawn Michaels made a big announcement by saying that, well, Solo, um, you basically had you've been summoned, and that you, my friend, are going to be going to the main roster on a permanent basis. Therefore, I have to ask you to relinquish the North American Championship. So now, not only does the belt get put up, but now the other big announcement is that in 6 weeks, there's going to be an event, NXT Halloween Havoc, and on that night, it will be a ladder match, and the winner becomes the new North American champion. We'll get into that later in the night because one of the qualifying matches has a part of that ladder match. We'll get into that. So, that was at the beginning of the show, so I jumped the gun. I apologize. Then, next up, we had was Toxic Attraction, Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. They went up against Tatum Paxley and Ivy Nile, and Toxic Attraction wins the match in 3 minutes and 58 seconds. So, guys, you want to talk about it, or do you just want to move on?
I don't know. What do you make of that, Bullock? Not really. No. But you know, it wasn't. I'll say it like this. I mean, on a personal front, these women have serious potential, but this match showed the inexperience on all sides. Inconsistent and sloppy effort, where the match ended sooner than it should have, given the story between these teams. And Dolan and Jane should be able to lead matches like this, given their standing as a firmly established women's tag team. They could help the main roster soon, but it did not come off as worthy of the main roster against two women who have shown they can be better with the right opponents. And the result was obvious, as Toxic Attraction could be very much next in line to challenge Katana Chance and Kaden Carter for those women's tag team titles. So I just wanted to get that off my chest. So move on.
Fine. Then we had Rip Fowler and Jagger Reed. They went up against Idris Analfi and Malik Blade, and the Dread, or the Dryad, as they're being called, won the match in 9 minutes and 17 seconds. Isn't this the Grizzled Young Veterans, Anthony? Wasn't this the Grizzled Young Vets?
Yes, it is.
Yes. One of your favorite tag teams back in the black and gold era. So
absolutely,
they won it 9-17. So give me your thoughts about that match.
This was the third best fight of the night for me. I'll give this about 3 stars for the effort. Rip Fowler and Jagger Reed remain as good as ever in the ring. While it is still hard to buy the schism in NXT, the talent is obviously there. This was a strong tag team match featuring 2 rising teams in the division. This was sold by the hot start and the crowd's appreciation for the faces. It gave legitimacy to a match that was always going to end one way. And hopefully Cameron Grimes can help elevate Idris Anafi and Malik Blade in this feud with the schism when the 3 inevitably work together. And Anafi and Blade caught Fowler with an impressive spinebuster famouser combo. Reed jumped off the back of Fowler into a Canadian destroyer on Anafi. And next week, Cameron Grimes and Joe Gacy are going to go one-on-one. So it'll be very interesting to see how that turns out. But I'm surprised that we got a good match here. Because MF, you mentioned it. GYV, Grizzled Young Veterans. I wish these 2 guys were still the Grizzled Young Veterans, because they were far better under the Grizzled Young Veterans banner. They were having more banger matches when they were GYV. And I hate the fact that Joe Gacy, that they somehow, I'm thinking this had to be a McMagma thing. It had to be. I mean, if only Triple H had gotten there sooner, then they could probably be GYV again. And I wish they were. But, but that's just my opinion. So I know this is not going to change anytime soon, even though I would love for it to change soon, but whatever. So 3 stars for the effort, third best fight of the night. So Michael Bullock, your thoughts?
I'll give it 2.5 to 3 here. I mean, it was a fine match, but yeah, like you said, I mean, the once known group as the Grizzled Young Veterans. I mean, obviously the whole change was when McMahon was running things, and I mean, I really hope that that they change it soon and put them back as the Grizzled Young Veterans, because they were one of the most dominant teams, not just in NXT, but of course in the NXT UK. But somehow I got this feeling it ain't going to change anytime soon. So, and like you said, Cameron Grimes is going to be going up against Joe Gacy next week. So, nothing more to say. Fletch, it's yours.
Yeah, I could give you the 2.5. I agree with that. I thought they did an all right job. I think it should have been a lot more better than what it was, but it is what it is. So next up we had was after all that, then we had Wendy Chu going 1-on-1 with Cora Jade. Cora Jade wins the match in 4 minutes and 14 seconds. It was a simple showcase, guys. We're not going to waste our time with this one. It was a simple showcase on Cora Jade, showing off her heel tendencies more than anything else. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes from there. So then actually we actually have a big surprise, a new sideline reporter. And this one I'm going to like. Her name is Kelly Kennard. However,
Kelly Kincaid.
Kelly Kincaid. But for all you Ring of Honor nuts, this is Quinn McCain. This is the sideline reporter for Ring of Honor. And one-time wrestler, too. So she's also a wrestler. Quinn McKay, she always used to do the Saturday shows after Saturday Night Live for all you NBC marks, and she used to work with Ian Riccaboni, and they used to give us the lowdown on what had happened on Ring of Honor that previous week. She signed with WWE. Well, then she signed with WWE, and Triple H and Shawn Michaels basically like, you know what? Since you were so good as a sideline reporter, we're just going to start you out as a sideline reporter for NXT. I like it. I like this move.
Her and Mackenzie Mitchell, that's a lot of power right there, man.
Oh, and there's a lot of beauty as well.
Hey now.
Mackenzie Mitchell, that's yours, Florio. I got dibs on this one. This one's mine.
By all means.
All right. Thank you. I call dibs. But anyway, so after that, then we had Chase U, Bahani Hayward, and Chase Young, and Andre Chase. They went up against Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes, and believe it or not, the winners of the bout in 4 minutes and 15 seconds, Chase U. They knocked what? Okay, Michael Bullock, can you believe this? Chase U just beat Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes? Are you kidding me?
And I'm sure Fletch. As soon as I saw this, I'm like thinking, oh, Fletch is gonna be pissed about this one because you've gone on the record, Fletch, that this, and for him to lose to someone like Andre Chase and Chase U, I'm sure that's gonna rub you the wrong way on this one. So I'm gonna give this 2.5 just because of the shocking outcome of the match here. I mean, going into this, you were thinking, oh, it's gonna be Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams all day. They pulled the rug out from underneath us. So yeah, so 2.5 just because of the shocking outcome. But Fletch, I feel for your boy, man. I mean, first he thought he was going to get handed the NXT North American title, and now this. It's not a good night for your boy.
This is embarrassing, man. Okay, I get it. They're going to want to humble the kid a little bit, and I get it. There's a chance he might be heading to the main roster, but if you're going to have to take your lumps, fine. But you bury him to Chase U? Are you kidding me? I mean, all right. First off, Andre Chase, congratulations. You just took down the A guy of NXT, one of the top stars of NXT, the future of NXT. For you to get that win, this is probably one of the bigger moments than your unbelievable performance that you had with Giovanni Vinci. Like, the Giovanni Vinci match and what you had was lit. It was fire. And we even admitted it at the time. It was probably one of the best matches under the NXT 2.0 banner. Now you get a big moment by knocking off probably one of the most prestigious North American champions we've had, and to do it that way, dude, mad respect to you guys. 2 stars, I'll give the rating. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, it'll definitely rank as one of the big upsets in NXT history, no question about it. Not the biggest, but one of the biggest, no doubt. This was a chaotic few minutes. It was almost too fast, as it was hard to process the shocking upset. Andre Chase pinning Carmelo Hayes should put him in the running for a shot at that North American Championship ladder match as part of Halloween Havoc next month. The A champion may be paying his dues a bit now that he is off the title. He has been heavily protected so far, so a loss like this does not hurt too much. However, if it continues into future matches, he may drop down the card. And Andre Chase got the hot tag and planted Trick Williams with a combination inverted atomic drop and body slam. But Trick ducked his attempted diving splash. So, wow, major upset here, no doubt about it. This would definitely qualify as that, a la Jesse Ventura, as Jesse would always say. Yeah. And I'll even pull a gorilla here. And when I say I resemble that remark, absolutely I do. I mean, I definitely would have said, if we were doing the commentary, I would have said major upset. I would have said I did not think Chase U even had a snowball's chance against Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. But wow, and this is living proof. 30 plus years later, anything can happen on any given night, and it just did here. So wow, 2 to 2.5 for me. So with that, let's move on, MF.
All right. Next up, we had was Von Wagner versus Sanga. Von Wagner wins the match in 2 minutes and 52 seconds. This fight was too fast, too short. Good match, but not really our cup of tea. We're just going to move right on along here. Then we had Grayson Waller versus Oro Messana. And this is a ladder match qualifying fight. So Oro wins the match in 5 minutes and 23 seconds. He is qualified for the ladder match at Halloween Havoc to become the next NXT North American champion. Solid match. Big surprise. I don't think nobody saw this one coming. And Grayson Waller takes a devastating loss. So, about another 2-star fight. Anthony, it's yours.
A little more generous. I'll give it 2.5. This was a surprising result, but the distraction protected Grayson Waller. It does seem as if NXT is repeatedly uncertain about fully committing to the loudmouth heel, keeping him out of another big match. Apollo Crews versus Grayson Waller was awkward the first time. Hopefully the sequel can be better. Oru Mensah has a chance to prove himself in the ladder match after a capable first outing. Once he works longer matches, we will have a greater idea of his potential. And Mensah dazed Waller with a rolling kick, but got goozled on the ropes. And then Crews appeared and showed a bleeding eye, which stopped Waller from hitting his finish. So, not much more to say on that. 2.5 stars for me. Michael Bullock, we got a newcomer here, Oru Mensah. Debut match, and he not only wins it, but in doing so, he now has a golden opportunity come Halloween Havoc. He could be the next North American champion. You never know.
It's a possibility. It'd be a big moment for that youngster. So I'll give it the 2.5 stars as well. So yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more to say. So let's move on, Fletch.
It leads us into the main event of the show. The winner will earn a shot at the NXT Championship. It is JD McDonough versus Tyler Bate. JD McDonough wins the match in 12 minutes and 54 seconds, but that moment was shortly unlived because, boys, we had a surprise. A welcome surprise. The man that unseated Walter as the UK champion, the man that had to relinquish the title due to a knee injury, Ilya Dragunov, has arrived at NXT just in the nick of time under the new black and gold era. Anthony Florio, game changer for the fight of the night.
And as far as Dragunov's return, MF, I got to quote you and your boy JR. You know where I got to go with this. Business has damn sure picked up. That's all there is to say on that. Wow. All right. First off, when it comes to this was the fight of the night for me. I got to give this 4 to 4.25 stars. The main event got what it needed. The sequences in this match were wild, showcasing two fantastic athletes with a desire for gold. The chemistry on display may be unmatched in NXT. If there is a small quibble, though, this match was more Jordan Devlin than the Irish Ace's newly formed NXT persona. JD McDonough needs to be able to sell his NXT persona if he is going to be seen as a real challenger to Braun Breaker. That may not be a problem, though, if the real next challenger to Breaker is the Tsar. Ilya Dragunov is an incredible performer who can give the NXT champion his best match to date. And in an interview, in a backstage interview, Braun Breaker put over both Bate and McDonough as great challengers. And Tyler Bate and JD McDonough traded pinfall attempts back and forth for a full minute until colliding with clotheslines. And the big strong boy dived into the Irish Ace onto the announce table, leaving McDonough laid out but laughing at Breaker, who looked on from commentary. And the Irish Ace planted Bate with a moonsault outside, followed by a 450 splash and brainbuster for near falls. Absolutely fantastic match. You got to go out of your way to see it if you haven't already. This is most certainly 4 to 4.25 stars. It is without a doubt the fight of the night. And McDonough, technically now the number one contender, but with Dragunov being a triple threat, possibly, maybe at Halloween Havoc, who knows? And if that's the case, I'm going to go on the record right now. I think Ilya Dragunov's going to be the next NXT champion. I think he's going to do it. So that's just my early projection on it, but we've got a month to think about it. So, but for right now, 4 to 4.25, fight of the night. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, Michael Bullock, whoa, what a main event! And on top of that, dude, you just got Ilya Dragunov. Business has just picked up.
Oh boy, business definitely has picked up with Ilya Dragunov now being on NXT. I mean, goodness gracious, this is gonna be something to see this. I mean, because like you said, he was the one that unseated Walter as the longest reigning NXT UK champion, but I think he might have a little say in this NXT title picture with Braun Breaker and JD McDonough. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. But 4.25, definitely the fight of the night, no doubt about it. So there's really nothing more to say. So let's get into our overall thoughts, Fletch.
All right, and it actually starts off with actually Anthony, you led off on the main event, or actually, huh?
Did I or did?
I'm trying to think.
Oh, wait a minute! I didn't give it to you yet, Fletch, because you have yet to talk about it.
Yeah, because you led off on that, Florio. That's why. No, it was a solid match. It was a solid surprise. I cannot believe that they did that. That was a huge surprise. More than anything else. But it was a solid main event. There was really nothing more to add here. So yeah, this was really good. Solid close to the show. And now I give it off to Michael Bullock. So yeah, about 3.5 to 4. Solid main event. Bullock, give me your first thoughts on NXT.
I thought it was a solid show. I mean, there were some things that definitely could have been better. I mean, some of the matches were indeed short here, but I can give this 6.5. I mean, some of the short matches really did take away from it, but You did have some good matches, and you had some, obviously, the big surprise with the Ilya Dragunov at the end. So 6.5. It's your Sledge.
Yeah, this was a solid 6. I thought it was an alright show. Nothing amazing to speak about. But Anthony, you got a final say.
What'd you guys give it? What'd you give it on that?
6 to 6.5.
6.5. All right. Yeah. Here's the reason. After promising a new NXT last week, this whole night was more of the same. The pace was rushed from the opening bout right up until the final match, and it's the they call it NXT, but didn't it have more of a 2.0 feel to it? I mean, that's
One
exactly
other
what it
thing
was.
I found out, that was a taped show.
Yes, it
It
was.
was not live. I think that's
And
why.
I think
That's
next
why.
week is going to be taped too.
And next week has been
And I
taped as
think
well.
next week's going to be taped as well.
Yeah, so I
So I
kind
think
of feel
October
like
4th.
that's why we kind of lost the momentum.
Okay. So yeah, I think next week's going to be taped as well. I think maybe October 4 could be the moment that we get it, but it is 6.5. It still had the feel of 2.0 because the first match was great, the main event was great, everything else in between, just all right for me. So yeah, 6.5. There isn't much more to say, gentlemen. MF, it's time for the biggest AEW Dynamite of 2022 so far, and spoiler alert, it damn sure lived up to all the hype.
It is the Dynamite Grand Slam from Arthur Ashe Stadium in Flushing Meadows, New York, outside of Queens. And yes, it was big. We started it off with the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight title match, as it was Chris Jericho going up against the reigning champion Claudio Castagnoli, the winner of the bout in 14 minutes and 25 seconds, and new Ring of Honor World Champion Chris Jericho. All right. I will say this. As a Ring of Honor guy, congratulations, Chris Jericho. However, the way you won that title, there was no honor at all. By absolutely low blowing Claudio Castagnoli, that led to the Judas effect when Aubrey Edwards was basically almost in fear of getting ducked uh, because of a big mistake. But at the end of the day, this was all it was a solid match. This was easily about a 4-star fight, but man alive. I mean, the ending left to be desired. Yes, it was a lot of action. Yes, it was an amazing wrestling match, but um it was definitely not the way you expected. And when you talk about Ring of Honor, and now you're gonna get me into purist mode. The belt is a legacy belt. The Ring of Honor World Title is is all about honor. And like I said, there is a code of honor, something that you would live and die by. Obviously, that did not. And the other thing is, why do you do a title change here? Why do you give the belt to Chris Jericho? Like, why? It makes no sense. You literally just buried Claudio Castagnoli. Why? You gave him a short-term reign. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get the move. I don't understand the moment. Is it because they're in Jericho's own backyard in New York? All right, fine, I'll give you that. But why? It doesn't make no sense. Anthony, I'm gonna get off my high horse. It's yours.
Yeah, but it was still a great match, though, MF. I mean, a hard fought, red hot match saw the title holder focus his attack on Jericho's midsection while the future Hall of Famer worked on the defensive, countering up his opponent's offense and playing up the idea that he had the champion scouted. But in the end, it was a cheap low blow. by the Wizard and a Judas effect that added yet another world title to Jericho's sparkling resume. Match was good, not great, with an outcome that was more eyebrow-raising than intriguing for a number of reasons. This feels less like a long-term plan for the future of Ring of Honor than an excuse to pad Jericho's resume, which is absurd given how extraordinary it already is. He is a legend, an icon, but he probably wins far more than he should in AEW. A win here could have really cemented Castagnoli's reign as champion. Instead, he loses, albeit in a tainted fashion, further diminishing the momentum he had coming off his debut, and before he somewhat faded to the background here. But Aubrey Edwards became the first woman to referee a Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship match. So a big honor for that young lady, no doubt. Jericho and on top of that, MF, Jericho initially declined the Code of Honor before accepting Claudio's handshake, only to slap him in the face. Castagnoli countered a Hurricane Rana from the ropes initially, but Jericho adjusted and executed the move anyway. Jericho countered the springboarding champion with a code breaker for 2, and then Castagnoli fought out of the walls of Jericho, stomped his opponent's face, and delivered the big swing. I can only give it 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. Yes, it was a 4-star match, but I'm bumping it down to 3.5 to 3 3/4 because of the finish and because of the fact that it's an ROH title match, and he went against the Code of Honor for it. But like Michael Bullock said, do you expect anything less from Chris Jericho? Hell no, you don't. Hell no, you don't. So that's all there is to do it. And Bullock, he only did it for one reason. He couldn't. Do you think he could beat Claudio one-on-one cleanly? Hell no, he can't. And that's why he won the title tonight.
And because he wanted the title and as part of a group of sports entertainers. I mean, yeah, get the you-know-what out with that nonsense. I mean, this was supposed to be the Code of Honor, as like you said, because of the history of Ring of Honor, but Jericho literally went against that arrogant son of a you-know-what. But like I said, you expect anything less from Chris Jericho? You expect any class from him, especially with a bunch of arrogant pricks that's part of the Jericho Appreciation Society? Yeah, I don't think so. So 3.5 stars. Like you said, I could have given it 4, but yeah, I'm with Fletch on this one. I mean, Claudio Castagnoli, I mean, you finally give him the world title. I mean, we all know how we appreciate it. Fletch appreciated it. Hell, Florio, you and I appreciate it because of how much we wanted to see this guy hold the world title. And you ended it with a short reign like that, and I hate to say this, guys, but I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like he's a paper champion.
WWE. He's better off in WWE. As for your release right now, Triple H will sign you. You'll be better off in WWE.
Oh, well, okay. I didn't expect that, but you know what? Quite frankly, Fletch, I agree with you. If I were Claudio Castagnoli right now after this, I'd be marching my ass over to Tony Khan and saying, release me from my contract. I want to go back to WWE. And especially now with Triple H running things, I think he would get the push that he so richly deserved. Because when McMahon was running things, he was literally getting buried. But with Triple H, I think he could elevate him to the man that he should have been right from the beginning. Done, finished.
I was going to say, just to harp off what you just said, Michael Bullock, and you can mute your mic, no problem. The way I feel about it is, and this is the one thing, Triple H wants Claudio Castagnoli back. Like, he's waiting for the day that contract runs out because he will sign him. That's one of the guys, that's one of Triple H's guys. He loved Claudio Castagnoli in WWE. That's why he was so pissed when he found out that he wanted it to go, because of the fact that he understood what was going on. And this is behind the scenes. He told Cesaro, "Hey, just hang in there, hang in there. You'll get your moment. You'll get it. Don't worry, you're gonna get it." He literally pushed to Vince to give him that shot against Roman. So obviously there is a lot of love between these two guys. So honestly, I don't see why not. Very soon we're going to see the return. Well, we don't know if we're going to get the return of Aleister Black, but the rumor is that he is heading back to WWE. Claudio should initially ask for his release if he gets the opportunity. Triple H will scoop him up in a heartbeat and bring him back to WWE. And let me tell you, you want to talk about the Grace Cesaro, man. We're going to see that again very soon, if he does. This is a disrespect to Claudio by Tony Khan. I don't understand it, but it is what it is. I'm gonna get off my high horse on this one. Next up, what we had was it was for the AEW World Tag Team titles, Swerve in Our Glory against the Acclaim, the winners of the bout in roughly 13 minutes, and the new AEW World Tag Team Champions, Max Caster, Anthony Bowen, the Acclaim, Anthony Florio. History has been made at Arthur Ashe Stadium. Unprecedented crowning. And you know what you gotta do, man? Sesame Daddy!
And cue the tripod confetti. Yes. So, you guys know how much I love seeing that tripod confetti go off. And boy, howdy, that tripod confetti is going to go up there as one of the best tripod confetti moments I've ever seen. That was an awesome tripod confetti moment there. No doubt about that. But all kidding aside, all right. Maybe not as good as the pay-per-view match. But the only small downside about it, Max Caster, the knee injury. And the action broke down from that moment and became somewhat disjointed as it appeared. Caster suffered a knee injury at one point, and then the miscommunications between Swerve and Our Glory and some interference from Billy Gunn at ringside. He dropped a famouser, guys. He dropped a famouser on that. And that gave way to the Acclaim realizing their potential and then winning the titles in a fan-pleasing moment. There is no doubt the Max Caster injury hurt this one late, but it still benefited exponentially by an audience more than ready to see the Acclaim capture the gold. They remained into the match even as it stumbled somewhat down the stretch. With that said, this was the one outcome Tony Khan and company needed to execute on this show or risk a considerable backlash. He did the right thing, and now Caster and Bowen stand atop the tag team mountain, the first homegrown tandem to hold gold in the company. The heat for Swerve and Lee was enormous, while the pop for the challengers was as loud as one would expect given recent trends. Caster overcame a considerable beating by the heels throughout the commercial to make the hot tag to Bowens. Bowens powered Swerve up out of a roll-up and into a buckle bomb. Keith Lee missed the middle rope moonsault to drive the air out of him. And Max Caster came off the top rope and immediately nursed what appeared to be a knee injury. He moved quickly on it to get to the finish, but was immediately limping on it after the bell. We're going to have to keep an eye on that, guys. But other than that, we're not going to rain on the parade because this was the moment that we all wanted to see, especially after they came so close at All Out. And I believe I had this one, guys. I said that the Acclaim was going to win the titles when this match was made last week, and sure enough, they won the titles. So that's it. Pay-per-view match was better, but this was still another fun match. The crowd really made this fun. That's all there is to it. This was another 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star match, but nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, as MF said, history made, unprecedented crowning, new AEW World Tag Team Champions, and deservedly so. The Acclaimed wins the gold here tonight. Cue that tripod confetti, baby. Time to celebrate.
Oh yeah, and a very deserving tag team champions of the acclaimed. I mean, this is a group that we thought that had the potential, and we was hoping that they were going to get their moment, and they got their moment here tonight at Dynamite Grand Slam. I mean, the injury, you could say is definitely going to take some away from it, but I I'm not going to really rain on the parade that much because this is just too damn good of a moment for the acclaimed. Congratulations to them. So another 3.5 stars for me. So, Fletch, it's yours.
Yeah, 3 stars for me. Big moment to say the very least. Um, yeah, there's really nothing more to add. So we talked about it, and it was unbelievable. History made, new champion's crown, and all right, here we go. So next up on this fight card, after we had all that, uh, then we had Orange Cassidy going up against Pac for the All Atlantic Championship, winner of the bout in roughly 13 minutes, and still the All Atlantic Champion, Pac. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
This was a another solid match here. I'll give it about another 3.5 for the effort here. I mean, these we've seen what Orange Cassidy can do, and obviously what Pac can do, but the outcome to me was never in doubt here. So there's really nothing more for me to say here. So it's your Fletch.
Another solid fight, another good match. About 3.5 stars, no doubt about it. Could have been a lot, could have been a little better, but nah, I agree. This was a good action, very good match to say the very least, and really nothing more to add. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, theme of the show so far, 3.5 stars. And speaking of pay per view, um, I mentioned in the last match, in that tag team title match, I said that the pay per view match they had was better. Same it can be said in this case, but I'm referring to another pay per view. This was nowhere near as good as the Revolution 2020 match these two had, but it did tell the story it set out to, with Pac once again underestimating Orange Cassidy only to have to resort to cheating to score the win. For a guy that was supposed to be so underneath him, Pac sure came close to losing the goal before cheating to preserve his reign. Telling that story, though, only really works if Cassidy eventually dethrones Pac. That has yet to happen. Some will argue that AEW is playing the long game, and maybe so, but Cassidy loses too many of these big title matches. Eventually, his involvement will mean less, no matter how many times he shows up and shows out. And as Pac scaled the ropes and teased the Black Arrow, Cassidy got his feet up, taunting the champion from his back on the mat. Pac folded himself up backwards, selling the effects of 2 straight DDTs. Oh my goodness, did you see how he was folded up damn near like an accordion, for goodness sakes? And a great near fall off the orange punch by Cassidy, broken up by the champion, grabbing the bottom rope to halt the referee's count. So this was another 3.5 star match. That's been the theme of the show so far. So there isn't much more to say here. MF, we continue on with this championship themed Grand Slam. Every match on this show tonight, friends, was a title match,
Yeah,
and we move on now to the Fatal 4 Way for the interim AEW Women's World Championship. But what happened after the match was worth it more than anything else.
yeah. Tony Storm versus Athena versus Dr. Britt Baker versus Serena Deeb, winner of the bout in 9 minutes and 50 seconds, and still the interim AEW Women's World Champion is Tony Storm. After the match, all kinds of chaos broke out. As first we had was Jamie Hayter come out, and it looked like Baker and Hayter were gonna have an issue. Nah, Jamie Hayter is with Dr. Britt Baker, so they were definitely trying to do some damage Then it looked like it was going to be a 3-on-1 beatdown, only for us to see, yes, former WWE superstar Paige. She go Soraya, I think it's her name. So
Soraya.
Soraya makes her return. She's now all elite. The pop of the night. The crowd went absolutely ballistic in the at Arthur Ashe Stadium. Social media blew up. I was stunned. Florio was stunned. Bullock was stunned. Oh my God. Can you believe this? She's back, guys, and she looks amazing. But here's the thing. Is she medically cleared to fight? We don't know. She just came back. And yes, it was a hero's welcome, but we don't know what's going to happen. One thing's for sure. This was a game changer. Solid match. You could say this was easily another 3.5-star fight. But Anthony, like you said, the moment, oh my God, it was all about Paige making her return, but now she is all elite.
And what was that time again?
9:49. Let me see. It was 9:50. Yeah, 9 minutes and 50 seconds.
9:50. All right. By default, this keyword by default, this was the worst fight of the night for me. I could give this about 3 to 3.25 for the effort. Despite a back and forth match that saw Serena Deeb shine as she out wrestled her opponents and nearly scored pinfalls or submissions on numerous occasions, Toni Storm earned the win over Dr. Britt Baker with a crucifix roll-up. And then after the match, Jamie Hayter reunited with Britt Baker and Serena Deeb in beating down Toni Storm and Athena until Saraya, formerly Paige in WWE, made her debut and cleared the ring without ever throwing a punch. There are two ways to look at this development. The pop for Saraya's debut was enormous. But then again, that crowd was popping damn near all night long. That crowd was even popping when Chris Jericho won the Ring of Honor Championship, for goodness sakes. Did you hear that crowd pop when Jericho won? That pop ended up getting rivaled when the Acclaimed won the World Tag Team Championship. And we thought, could there be more bigger pops in store? Oh yes. But those two pops paled in comparison to the one that Saraya ended up getting. Whoa. All right. Like I said, it was enormous. And many, these three guys included, are longtime fans that want to see her have another opportunity to set foot inside the squared circle. On the other hand, the women's roster is loaded with talent that is already underutilized and struggling to receive the television time reflective of their abilities. Ruby Soho is, among others, a prime example, bringing yet another competitor in rather than better highlighting those AEW already has on its roster will surely earn criticism. How and if management learns from its prior creative struggles in terms of this division will determine whether this was a landscape-changing signing or another prize added to the collection. Athena brought all three opponents off the top rope in an electric chair spot that has become a bit too relied upon in these multi-competitor matches over the years. And as I said, the pop for Saraya was huge and much needed, given Jamie Hayter's reunion with Britt Baker moments earlier essentially erased everything that had built to a split between the two, at least for the time being. But like I said, by default, it was the worst fight of the night, even though it was nothing remotely wrong with it. It was just a little on the short side. But 3 to 3.25 stars is the correct rating for it. But Michael Bullock, once again, like we talked about earlier with Ilya Dragunov at the end of NXT, here tonight, business has damn sure picked up in the AEW women's division. You can call her Saraya, you can call her Paige, you can call her what you want. But nonetheless, that beautiful dame from Norwich, England, or as MF used to say, that naughty little minx from Norwich, England, she's all elite. What does that mean? Is she cleared, or
Oh
what's the
man,
story?
I mean, who knows? Who knows? I mean, we don't know much about it. I mean, since she's just arrived tonight, and yeah, that crowd was just popping when Soraya uh, showed up. I mean, is she going to be a manager? Is she cleared? Who knows? I mean, hopefully we'll get some answers. Maybe if she appears Friday on Rampage, or maybe next week on Dynamite. So we'll definitely get some answers to it. But definitely a great moment. Good to see her, and she still looks good. Uh, but anywho, I mean, yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more for me to say except 3 stars. I mean, this was definitely, I mean, by default, the worst fight of the night, even though it wasn't remotely bad at all. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say. Fletch, I think it's main event time.
It is main event time for the AEW World Championship. John Moxley versus the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, winner of the bout in 19 minutes and 15 seconds. And the new AEW World Champion, John Moxley. He wins the championship. Anthony Florio, it is yours.
Yeah, I had a feeling they were going to go with Moxley. I mean, like I said, I wanted Danielson to win it, to give it a fresh face. But what's been the big money feud as of late? Moxley and MJF, and that's obviously why they put the belt on Moxley once again in what I have to reluctantly call a little bit of over reliance, if I do say so myself. But it is what it is. But I'm not gonna go crazy over it. But all right. But with that being said, the match was a grueling physical encounter, and the win makes Moxley the first AEW star to win the World Heavyweight Championship on 3 separate occasions. There was no interim label slapped on this one, nor should there have been. John Moxley, appreciate his in-ring style or not, has been the backbone of the roster for the last year. He has been as reliable as anyone and embodied that us versus the world mentality that helped make AEW possible in the first place. Putting the belt on him again may not be the most electrifying booking move, and it will probably draw criticism from the pro-Danielson crowd, but in the end, one guy has a well-documented history of serious career-altering injuries, and the other does not. And AEW badly needs stability at the top of its card, and it has that in John Moxley. And soon will as well with MJF, at least until 2024. Moxley dared Danielson to chop him, then backed him into the corner and added a few of his own. During the commercial break, the American Dragon focused on his opponent's shoulder. Moxley kicked out of his opponent's Boo Psycho knee, essentially no-sold it, and applied a half Boston Crab moments later. Cameras caught Moxley scratching and clawing the back of Danielson, and Moxley and Danielson in stereo headstands slapped away at each other. That's pure be a man stuff right there. And Moxley stomped the Achilles of Danielson and delivered the Death Rider, leading to a fantastic near fall. 4.25, teetering on 4.5. This was the fight of the night, no doubt about it. And like I said, even though I kind of wanted to see Danielson get it, from a fresh face perspective, at the same time, I can understand why they went with Moxley. And considering the back and forth we've had between Mox and MJF over the last few weeks, there was only one logical outcome, and that was to give the belt back to Moxley. So that's all I can say on that. So we don't know when, but we know it's not a matter. We just don't know when it's going to happen, but we know it will happen down the road. John Moxley versus MJF for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Maybe it could be Full Gear. That's a very realistic possibility. But I believe, and if it is Full Gear, I'll say it right here and now. I think MJF is going to win the title there. because I think MJF will eventually be. I think he's going to be the one to finally dethrone Moxley. So 4.25, 4.5. It's the fight of the night for me. So Michael Bullock, you could call it predictable. You could call it same old story, same old song and dance. But the only logical outcome, they had to give it to Moxley based on the back and forth he and MJF have had over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think this had to be the only outcome because of what's been going on with Moxley and MJF. So this, I mean, yeah, you can criticize the move, you can say predictable outcome, but you could understand why they do it because it's only imminent that they are going to have MJF and John Moxley for the AEW World Title, and then I think this is where I think MJF is finally going to become the AEW World Champion. That's what I see happening. So 4.25, 4.5, fight of the night. So it's your sledge.
Yeah, 4.25, 4.5, fight of the night, no doubt about it. This was an incredible main event, to say the very least. Um, really nothing more to add. So we're just gonna dive into our overall review. So I believe this goes to you, Michael Bullock.
Uh, 8 out of 10 for me. I mean, I thought this was a solid uh, Dynamite Grand Slam from Arthur Ashe Stadium. I mean, all the matches were good. I mean, yeah, I mean, some of the things. Yeah, I mean, you could have gone with Danielson to win to get that moment. I mean, some other things I thought could have been better, but all in all, this Dynamite Grand Slam delivered. So 8 for me. It's your Fletch.
8 out of 10, agreed. I thought it was a solid show. No, really nothing more to add. Anthony, final thoughts, and then we'll get into the NFL.
Yes, sir. I agree with you guys. 8 out of 10. Every match was solid to good to great. MJF delivers another fantastic heel promo with Wheeler Yuta. I mean, that was well done as always. And yeah, but to me, as great as the efforts of all the men and women who competed tonight, the real MVP were the fans tonight.
Yes.
That crowd. I think that might have been the greatest crowd in AEW history. I mean, we've had a lot of great crowds over the 3 years, but I've never heard a crowd that excited and that jacked. I wonder if Derek Ferreira being there had something to do with it. I mean, because we all know how he is, and he was there. He was there at the Grand Slam tonight. So I can only imagine. What he was doing when he saw Paige show up. That's what I'm wondering. So
he's a big fan of Paige. I know that much.
Yeah,
Monster fan of hers.
In more ways than one.
In more ways than one, yeah.
Yeah, her beauty and her wrestling ability. I can only imagine he probably marked the F out like everybody else did. But
yeah.
But the point is that crowd, whether he was there or not, that crowd was, in the immortal words of Kevin Durant, the real MVP of this show tonight. So kudos, crowd. You're taking home memories tonight. And I know they appreciated everything, but I know the one thing they were the most happy about, not just Paige, but to see the Acclaim win the tag titles. That had to be something. So 8 out of 10 for me. So MF, as is the new staple of our Wednesday Night Madness shows, Thursday Night Football, and spoiler alert, friends, this is our number 2 game of the week on our side of the ledger.
Yeah, we got ourselves a good one here. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers going up against the Cleveland Browns. This is going to be from Paul Brown Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio.
First Energy Stadium in Cleveland.
Oh, First Energy? Oh, all right.
It's in Cleveland, not Cincinnati.
So Game time at 8:15 on Amazon Prime. If you got it, you already know. However, for all you people out there, you could actually watch the game on Twitch. Yes, Twitch actually has a link to that game, Twitch TV, the Amazon Prime channel. You can watch the game there. Or,
And there's 2 local channels too.
There are 2 local channels. You can get in that in just a minute.
Yep.
For the Pittsburgh affiliate and the Cleveland affiliate. And if you have NFL Plus, you could actually watch the game on the NFL app utilizing the NFL Plus. So 3 ways that you could watch the game. But for the local people of Pittsburgh and Cleveland, stay tuned for Anthony Florio. He'll hook you up with that. Cleveland is a 4.5-point favorite according to the FanDuel Sportsbook. And the season series, now this is including playoffs. Anthony will give you the regular in a minute. But it's Pittsburgh 77-60 with 1 tie. The last time they faced off was January 3rd. And Steelers won that game. The final score in that game was 26-14. Last week, Pittsburgh lost to the New England Patriots 17-14. Cleveland got their hearts ripped out by the New York Jets 31-30. So, players to watch for the Pittsburgh Steelers is Miles Jack. The former Jacksonville Jaguar is thriving in Pittsburgh after signing a 2-year, $16 million contract in free agency. Last week, he had 13 tackles, a career high, when he went up against the Patriots, and expected to test the run defense behind Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. But the player to watch for the Cleveland Browns is Grant Dilpit, who was involved in a couple of miscommunications in the secondary that resulted in long touchdowns. Didn't pick up receivers after they were released by cornerbacks, but it will be interesting to see how deeper than usual he'll be in that one. The main focus is the offensive line of the Cleveland Browns to the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Cleveland has rushed for over 401 yards in the first 2 games, and they are ranked number 1, actually the second best rushing attack in the NFL right now. The Cleveland Browns are. So once we see that, when it's everything that's played out and everything else, look, I get it. A lot of people are talking about how Cleveland, because of the quarterback play, that's gotten Pittsburgh into a situation that they had. Michael Bullock says he's got Cleveland winning tomorrow. I gotta go with Cleveland because of that running attack. I think with Watt still out with that injury, I think that's going to be a major factor. So for me, give me the Cleveland Browns to win the game as well. Anthony, it's yours.
All right. In addition to Amazon Prime Video and Twitch and NFL Plus, there are 2 local affiliates. You know, I mentioned this last week when we were talking about Chargers and Chiefs, and this is gonna be a staple of this as well. Pittsburgh. If for the wonderful folks of Pittsburgh, you can watch the game on WPXI NBC 11. That's WPXI NBC 11 for Pittsburgh. Cleveland, you can watch the game on WEWS ABC 5. WEWS ABC 5, Cleveland. So those are the local affiliates. MF, you nailed it. That's exactly what I have here. The regular season series is 77-60 with a tie in favor of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the one tie that they had was actually in 2018. It was week 1 of 2018 when they played to a 21-21 tie. in Cleveland. Last meeting in Cleveland last year, Pittsburgh won 15-10. Cleveland's last win at home with the Steelers was the year before in 2020. That was a 24-22 final. And it'll be Al Michaels with Kirk Herbstreit and Kaylee Hartung on the call. And I think we've covered everything. So NMF nailed the spread of 4.5. So for Cleveland, the Steelers are underdogs for the third straight week. Jacoby Brissett and Mitchell Trubisky have nearly identical passing lines through 2 games. So it's going to be about which team generates a steady rushing attack. Neither team can stop the pass. But the Browns are a little better against the run. It's a coin flip, honestly. And it will come down to the last kick. Anybody remember what happened the last time these two played on Thursday night? I think you know where I'm going. But with all due respect to MF and to Michael Bullock, I'm actually going with the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this game. My final score, I'm going to say 23-20. I say Pittsburgh wins, but if Cleveland were to win, I would not at all be surprised. So 23-20, I got Pittsburgh winning, and we'll get into the rest of the slate Saturday night on NFL Saturday. So with that being said, MF, take it home and hit us with that future content.
Yeah, we got a lot of future content, guys. So tomorrow night is College Football Thursdays, and we got that set up. Now, Friday, guys, there's no show. There will be no show on Friday night. We'll explain it in a minute. Saturday is NFL Saturday, and on Sunday night, you heard me right, Sunday night, 10 p.m., we will be doing the Cerebral Smack Talk on that night. So that is the layout. That is the plan. And then we do everything all over again on Monday. So until then.
What are the times?
10:30 tomorrow night, 10:30 on Saturday, and then 10 o'clock on Sunday.
And the reason when it comes to Friday is AEW Rampage is they're doing a special 2-hour Rampage, and that means it'll end at midnight, and that's way too late for us to start a show.
Yeah, so that's what we decided to do it that way. So nothing more to say. And for Anthony Florio, for Michael Bullock, I am Michael Fletcher. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow night. So long.
Goodbye.